You are now joining Children of the Watch.
That's right. It's the #1 podcast in the galaxy for all things Star Wars television. I'm your host, Alex Maxwell, and joining me, as always, is...
Mac Lacey. Alex, we are here for the Chapter 3 voicemail episode. These are always so fun. I love hearing from the listeners. Love hearing... This is really, I think, truly when we get to learn how people feel about, the episode that just happened. So I'm looking forward to what everybody's thoughts are today.
Yeah, I am too. And before we jump in, I do want to say, because I know, I was, a little more critical than I normally am on an episode. And I felt like it was warranted. I feel like it was valid.
There was plenty to criticize with this episode.
Valid criticism. Here's the thing, though, because I feel like some people, they have trouble, criticizing something that you love is a good thing, I think, because it helps, it just kind of helps you, number one, process it, but also number two, you want it to be better than it was so that it, next time, hopefully it could be even better.
Right. And critical thought is how you deepen your appreciation of the things that you do love about something, So when you're like, oh, this was a missed opportunity here because it wasn't this thing that I love about this property so much,
Yeah. And so that's the thing is as much as Attack the Clones is silly, let's start there. Attack the Clones is silly. And that sand line is silly, right? Mm-hmm. I hate sand. Over the years, I have grown to love that scene because of how silly it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I think I'm going to get to a point where even this scooter chase is going to be one of my favorite things in Star Wars just because it's so absurd. And it's so, even the things that I don't like about Star Wars is, 10 times better than things that aren't Star Wars, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. I feel like some people maybe don't hear something that we're not saying. And then it's okay if you don't like it. It is okay if you don't like something in Star Wars because there is more coming. And you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I cannot stop thinking about. And we're pretty sure that one's next. So if you're we're pretty much halfway now, right? With the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
if you're not digging it, there is going to be something that you dig this year. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's don't be bummed out is I guess what I'm trying to say. Yeah. If it's not your cup of tea.
The chances for your new favorite thing in Star Wars to come around are many in the coming years.
Right.
So yeah. I think if this isn't your thing will be coming down the pipe, sooner or later.
Yeah, I agree. So before we jump into the business, I want to tease I'm going to play a little bit of True Detective on this episode today. I have made a True Detective suspect board. So if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll be able to see this image. And if you are listening on the podcast, you can go find this image on our Twitter @COTWatch and Instagram @COTWatch. And then, of course, the people on the Discord saw it first because they are our patrons. And you can join our patreon.com/TheMandalorianWatch for $2. You can get the extra bonus voicemail hotline episodes, which we will be doing in addition to this episode, and we have fun commentary episodes, and we have a lot of fun over there on our Patreon. So, without further ado, I do want to look at this suspect board that I've created, Mac.
Let's examine.
Let's examine the suspect board before we get to the voicemails, because...
This is incredible.
I've got a cork board for those listening, and I've got pictures of all of our suspects on this board, and I've got sticky notes, I've got red lines connecting everything, and a map of Tatooine. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty proud of this image.
This image makes you look like an insane person.
Well, it's what Star Wars has done to me, Mac, and... So, okay, But there is something to this visual, and like once I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, it's Kira, because like everything goes back to her.
Right.
And it's because I made the image that way. but there's actually two big suspects on this board when you look at all the connections that people have. So the mayor obviously is a huge suspect. He is connected to the Major Domo, the Aqualish, the Clatuians, the Trandoshans, and Garsa Fwip. We're not really sure how Garsa Fwip fits into this, but let's not forget her involvement in the underworld stuff, because like she is part of it. It's just what degree she is. So the mayor is connected to all of these people, and we know from this latest episode he's connected now with the Pikes. He's working with the Pikes. Okay?
At least surface level.
That's what the Hutts said.
Right.
And that's what the Major Domo said. Okay? Who else has worked with the Pikes and all the major syndicates, Mac?
Maybe Fennec?
That's exactly right. Fennec has worked with every major syndicate, and that comes directly from The Mandalorian Chapter 5, where we learn about her for the very first time, and Toro Calican told us that information. He is also on this board. She has worked for the Hutts. She has worked for the Pikes. We can presume she's worked for Black Sun. She's worked for probably Crimson Dawn. Who is the leader of Crimson Dawn?
One Kira.
Everything comes back to Kira. I'm just saying. Listen.
This is amazing. Basically, I think what Alex is trying to say is Kira is shaping up to be a highly possible big bad for this series.
Also, real quick before we get into our voicemails, I feel like a lot of people were like kind of low-key offended that we suggested that Fennec might be a bad guy. She might not, and like I kind of hope that she's not, but like for an entertainment / like this would be a really bold take. I kind of hope that she is, like in the sense of like it would be a nice, fun surprise and like heart-wrenching. Like I wouldn't like it, but I also would like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I would like the narrative, not the emotional beat, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And like she could be completely on the side of good here and always is going to be devoted to Boba for saving her and giving her a robo-tummy.
It's wild that an aspiring crime lord is the side of good in this scenario, but that's definitely the case.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, it might not be the thing. She might not be bad, but she has worked for every syndicate. She has worked for the Hutts and Pikes and Crimson Dawn and Black Sun as an assassin. I'm just saying we don't know her that well. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just you know, floating the facts out there.
Floating the facts out there. All right, so let's jump into our first voicemail and let's see what you guys think, okay? Let's do it.
Hi, this is Jessica from upstate New York. It's been a little while since I've called you guys. Love your podcast, the only one I listen to. Love it. You guys make it super approachable to be able to become part of, you know, the Star Wars world, and I super appreciate you guys taking the time to explain things and kind of, you know, make the fandom open to anybody. So huge shout out to you guys for that. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I just wanted to say chapter 3 felt really fast to me. The Raiders, I fell in love with them. Like that whole storyline, they fleshed it out. They gave you time to like really develop feelings and love for these characters, and turned around and kind of just yanked it away from us. Like Fett was immediately woken up by a Wookiee and was attacked, and I felt like you just moved right past it, and there was no processing the emotions of that loss or them acknowledging it. It was, hey, like, we spent 2 chapters giving you this great story, and now you need to just forget about it. It felt really dismissive to me, so I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Also, the whole random chasing at the end kind of bugged me. That felt rushed. So I don't think that was necessary, but again, I'm curious to know what you guys think. My main thing I wanted to ask was why would Fett maybe offer like open arms to these Robo kids? I understand that they have like a lot of abilities, but the whole Power Ranger vibe thing seems kind of pointless to me. And I don't know. I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. Like, what are they? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you know more about them? Because I'm kind of confused. Why not give the Wookiee like a chance to, be on his side? Because he probably knows insider information about the Hutts. I just thought that it was kind of weird he just let him wander off. Also, my boyfriend doesn't think I would tell you guys this, but I have named the Gamora pigs. I'm a little embarrassed to even say this, but I kind of named the Gamora pigs because I've kind of grown attached to them. Grog and Tog. Tog, the one with the silver tin helmet. So I'm curious to know if you guys can tell me more about them as well. And if you decide to use Grog and Tog's names in the future, totally fine by me because I can understand what you're talking about. Anyways, love your guys' podcast so much. Thank you for doing what you do. Look forward to the next one. Have a good one and be safe.
Thanks. That's awesome. Her name got cut off at the beginning, but I believe it was Jessica.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica, for your voicemail.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling. So I guess the first kind of thing to address is the whole the unfortunate and heartbreaking demise of the Tuskens in Chapter 3. That is something that the more time I've had with that episode, it increasingly feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
It is something that like it doesn't like the moment was super emotionally impactful for me, and I do think we just kind of moved on. There's plenty of time left in the show for us to get more of that particular plot line, like what he does next, and so it could be kind of addressed and have more time to sink in the future, but just in the between the week in between episode releases, it is something that's sitting weird with me.
Yeah, it does feel like, and we kind of talked about this a little bit on the breakdown, but it felt like it was just cliched in the sense of, oh, they didn't actually matter. They were just convenient for plot. And like, I don't know if Boba actually needed a moment like that because he's already had one in his past with his dad.
Right.
I feel like you could have still accomplish Boba getting back in the game without having to kill all the Tuskens. Now, maybe an attack on the Tuskens makes sense, but like wiping them all out just kind of does feel weird. And so I'm still kind of hopeful that there's still some alive out there, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
we'll
see.
I think too, like the fact that it happens off screen is weird, right? And like I understand that it's like to kind of increase that feeling of helplessness and stuff in Boba, but like we're these cool characters that we've introduced in this whole like little culture we've explored earlier, basically then all just serves as emotional fodder for the protagonist,
Right.
So it does feel weird. I think I don't know. It would have been cooler, I think, if like this still could have kind of happened, but if they had like made a big effort to kind of take back some territory from the Pikes, and then the battle goes sideways, like something like that.
Or even better yet, like what if they were like not killed, but like taken by the Pikes, like to go to the spice mines on Kessel or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like almost in the sense of like, I don't know if they had to die for Boba to get moving.
Right. Yeah.
So.
It just seems like you're robbing all those characters of like any agency in their own stories,
Yeah.
And
like, I guess credit to them also for like making us care so much about the Tusken tribe.
Right.
But then also that's like the double-edged sword there. Like if you knew you were going to do that, why'd you make us care so much? Darn you, Jon Favreau. Darn you. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is at this point. I hope that not all of them are gone. That's all I can say, because like I don't know, because I didn't like that either. So we'll see.
Yep.
And then the mods, I kind of like the mods. I had no problem with the street youths and their colorful scooters. It was just the actual chase scene itself that I was like, oh my gosh, this is poorly directed. But
why do you think, from like a character standpoint, Boba found this as a solution to the predicament? Like, why did he go this route in your mind?
I mean, okay, so like I guess in-universe answer is like he sees potential in these people who are willing to stand up to him. I think he knows he can kind of shape that and point them in a better direction than what they were going in. Yeah. So kind of like a Batman Robin type thing. Out of universe explanation, I think Jon Favreau was just like, let's get some cool new characters in here that George Lucas would probably like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there was much thought into it other than that. You know, like, I don't think they're like a deeper, there's something about them that we don't know. I think they are just kind of exactly the way that we see them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it does. I think in universe, they're convenient because they don't have any existing ties to any of the other entities in the underworld, right? So I think Boba maybe sees that as a strategic point. They're kind of blank slates for him to, mold and use as he needs, So I mean, there's a strategic thing, but I think it's mostly just that. Like, I think Boba at this point is committed to ruling through forging relationships, and so I think this is just, these are just more relationships he's forging,
and that's part of it. And so the Gamorrean guards too have
Grog and Tog. I like it.
Some names. I mean, we can call them that. Grog and Tog. Sure.
I like it.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for your call, Jessica.
Yeah.
Awesome phone call. Call again. All right, let's do the next one.
Hey guys, Noah from the great state of Tennessee, calling back again after another great week of Boba Fett. Real quick, I just want to state I love the episode. It was great. All, the music, everything fantastic. But I do have to say this, feel like we're getting robbed in some ways. The death of the Tuskens and not being able to explore that is really devastating. I hate that because I feel like that's a real missed opportunity, but it is, I feel like, going to provide some really structure to this timeline. Also, just like the speeder scene was bad, and that could have been really cool, but I feel like the twins' litter could have caught the darn, the mayor's assistant quicker than Boba and them did. I'm like, the darn litter could have caught him. Thing walking, they had internal mode, and then like Fennec and BK, that could have been really cool too, like them battling it out, duking it out, like, but no, she's doing some sketchy stuff, hanging out in the corner, not helping, who knows what her intentions is. I don't think she's going to end up being the bad guy because Disney is like all in on Fennec Shand, so I just don't feel like they're going to like end that so quickly, but like, I don't know. She is doing some sketchy stuff, though. I don't like it at all. And then, there's just a lot. Like, it's awesome seeing some celebrity cameos, I guess. Like, we've had Bill Burr, Danny Trejo now, and, just all kind of, and I love the celebrities, are showing their love of Star Wars and coming in here, so that's great. And the Rancor, it's on, baby. The Rancor is back. The pit is back in full. And I hope Boba understands that riding a Rancor is not like riding a Bantha. So once again, the music score was awesome. I feel like this episode had like really dove into like medieval language. Like usually they have like hints of it, but they like really got into medieval language. And I thought it was kind of funny, honestly. Like, I thought it was cool, but I thought it was more comedic than anything. But for my big dramatic prediction at the end, I'm going to leave it. The person I think behind it all, and I'm going to leave it right here, is none other than Thrawn.
Whoa.
All right.
Way to just leave that voicemail.
Just mic drop after that. Okay.
Jeez.
Um.
No
So, yeah.
explanation. Just
Yeah.
Thrawn.
I think we'll have to sort that out here on this voicemail episode. I think this is why we do this. But first, I just want to. There's obviously some very, very universally felt undercurrents for the I feel like
So we didn't
everybody's
feel
kinda,
alone
Yeah.
in this. Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are kind of all on the same page with with the events of chapter 3. Yeah, so Thrawn being behind stuff. That's a very interesting in my mind, this particular story was not going to have a ton to do with like the greater arc. I think they're setting up with Mando and Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, like that kind of world, right?
Yeah, not in my mind because like honestly, so we're about halfway through now. I mean, I know there's 4 more episodes left, but honestly, it kind of feels like we need to buy some time before Mando season 3 comes out. So let's do this instead. This is kind of what it feels like, to be honest with you. Like, I think you could skip this one and not miss a ton when Mandalorian season 3 comes out. Now, I could be completely wrong about that by the time the show's said and done, but that's how it feels right now.
Yeah. It does feel that way, and like there's going to be some enriching tie-ins. Like I think we're going to get kind of that full scene of Boba finding Fennec, and I think that's going to be maybe next in the flashbacks. We've kind of talked about that. I think one of the only ways that Thrawn could potentially be a like influencing force behind the events in this show is if he is utilizing Crimson Dawn.
Ooh.
So, like, maybe the tie, like, the greater tie from this show is that Thrawn is going to, like, Crimson Dawn is going to be kind of one of the pieces on Thrawn's chessboard, you know?
Maybe to use it, like, as a destabilizing force against the New Republic?
Right, yeah. Something like that. Because, I mean, if Thrawn is going to be kind of doing the heir of the Empire thing now, kind of trying to retake the galaxy under the Empire, like... That could be a tactic he uses.
I like that.
Yeah. So
I like that a lot.
I don't think this series is gonna end with Crimson Dawn being defeated and gone.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Boba's gonna stop them at one thing, and then they're gonna keep on doing whatever else they're doing in the galaxy.
Right. Like he's gonna at least hold Tatooine, and they're not gonna take Tatooine.
Right. I think the victory he will win against them is getting them off of Tatooine, but they're going to still be operating everywhere else in the galaxy they're operating.
Interesting. Okay. Well, then maybe I'm wrong, and there is a huge tie-in to what's coming.
That's
that would
just
be cool.
the only thing. Like I don't even necessarily think that's likely. I think Crimson Dawn is just going to kind of be another entity in the Empire or in the galaxy. But if this show was going to have a big tie-in, I think that would be the way to do it.
I agree. Thanks for your call. Let's do the next one.
Hi, Alex and Mac. It's James here from the UK by way of the Netherlands. Thanks very much for the great shows that you provide. Much appreciated. I wanted to make 2 points with regards to the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett. The first one, I was very interested in your thoughts about, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the political and environmental messages that seem to be prevalent in the series thus far. Tatooine used to have water, and now it's a desert, being one example that's really being drummed home quite a lot. The second one, the biker gang, the mods, being overcharged for water a basic human right of water. So there's that. And I thought there was maybe maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the potential comparison with healthcare costs and medication costs, which many people consider to be basic human rights. I don't know. I just thought maybe there's a political and environmental message that's being really pushed through this series in an interesting way. And the second point I wanted to make was with regards to the Pike representative that Boba went to go and meet with. He has two emblems on his chest that I can see, one in the lower sternum area and one above it, which seem to be two halves broken, two halves of a circle broken. So I just wondered whether there was any meaning to be read into that. Anyway, thanks for your time. Thanks for the podcasts. Keep up the good work. Cheers. Bye.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you for your call, all the way from the Netherlands.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. And I do want to. We're gonna get into everything that that you talked about in your call, but real fast. For anybody who's an international listener, we know that there's issues with calling into the voicemail. You can find our email address on our socials and stuff. You can actually just send us an audio file, and it can go into the into the pool with the rest of them. We ask that you keep it under 3 minutes because that's the limitations the voicemails have. So equal opportunity there. But yeah, just do that because we definitely want to hear from people outside of places that can call into the voicemail box. So
absolutely,
just wanted to make that little note there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you think? So
I mean, as far as parallels to real world concerns such as like the environmental crisis we're headed towards and kind of in the middle of already, and then concerns like healthcare and everything like that. I definitely think there are some undercurrents with what they've been talking with potentially there used to be water on Tatooine. We haven't gotten the story of how the oceans all dried up and everything like that, but it does seem to be like seem to me like they're playing into that with especially like with the water merchant. I think that's definitely a point towards kind of a they're pointing towards the problem of just resource inequality and people not having access to these basic things that other people take for granted in other areas of the galaxy. And I think those things are super. I love when they pull stuff like that into Star Wars because it gives you a sense of like what it is to live in these places, like what the daily struggles of people in the galaxy are, not the heroes that we're following, but just the people in the streets, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think all of that stuff goes to enrich the world, and it helps us empathize with the struggles of people in a fictional galaxy.
Right. I thought especially in this past episode, the whole exchange with the watermonger, Ortha Peel, and Boba and the youths, it did stand out to me of like, it kind of. Even like on a bigger scale, it's kind of showing the burden of leadership of like, you've got to make these decisions because people will take advantage of each other without leadership,
right.
Like without someone kind of pointing the way and making sure that someone, people are being taken care of. And so like, I did like that. And then on your last point, the Pike leader that Boba went to go meet with, was wearing a robe, and on the robe, the front of it, you can see it kind of looks like two broken halves of a circle.
What other logo has a similar visual motif? Huh?
Crimson Dawn.
Yeah. Funny how that happens, right?
Yeah, and I also saw someone speculate like maybe it's like the broken Death Star or something, but my mind just goes to Crimson Dawn because the Crimson Dawn logo looks like the Death Star.
Yeah.
That's
true.
So like, remember like in Solo when that woman drew the symbol like in the dust and she drew the two circles? Like I thought like when that first happened in the movie, I was like, wait, the Death Star?
Yeah.
They're building. Oh, Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Crimson Dawn. So maybe they should have got a different type of logo, but it's easy to remember. 2 circles. It did kind of look like that, I will say.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is interesting.
The
we'll
plot
see,
thickens, so to speak.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
way from the Netherlands. I'm honored.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that next voicemail.
Hey guys, this is Dalton from Tennessee. Just want to say I really enjoyed the show. I found it when I desperately wanted to talk about The Mandalorian when we were watching the first season of that. I just wanted to ask you guys if you have noticed like how perfectly Boba Fett has been characterized compared to other clones that we've focused on in other series. His personality is a lot like Omega's, and he loves animals. He generally tries to help people when he can. I think it goes back to like all the clones are generally pretty good dudes. I mean, obviously we've seen some exceptions in the Clone Wars, but with all the trauma they've endured, it kind of makes sense in that context. But so I really like, we were all expecting Boba Fett to be this cold-blooded guy, but now that we've seen all these clones interacting over all these series, what do you guys think? Like, I think that he kind of fits the mold that other clones have made. He kind of seems a lot like Rex and Omega. Anyway, guys, sorry to ramble. Thank you. Just wanted to see if you had noticed that.
Man, Tennessee's just bringing it this week. That was a great call, Dalton, because that's something that I actually haven't thought about much in terms of comparing Boba to the other clones in terms of their personality.
Really, the first time that I even thought of it in terms of that was when I saw on Twitter someone, man, I got to be better about writing down where I who tweets stuff that I see. But yeah, like they reminded me that Omega has already ridden a Rancor.
Right.
And so Boba Fett's now going to be riding a Rancor.
Right.
And the similarities between him and Omega are there. I mean, Omega, like, they both seem to have a mind for strategy. They're very strategic thinkers. Like, they're seeing kind of the inner workings, the way that Boba Fett has solved conflicts so far. He's playing a more complex game than most people are. I feel like he's thinking through the way things are connected a little more than the average Joe. And that's a trait we see in Omega. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I guess it's like going back to the nature versus nurture debate.
Right.
Yeah, how much of it is nature, and then how much of it is from the way he was raised.
Right.
Too. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting because then you've got to assume Omega was not raised by Jango, but the other clones like Rex, they were trained by Jango when they were younger.
Yeah.
So like how much of Jango imprinted on them in terms of the nurture side of it.
Right. And Jango did, design their like training regimen and everything too, even when he wasn't physically there teaching. His influence is still in, I think, basically every aspect of their raising.
They're raising.
However you say that. They're rearing. I don't know.
Child rearing. All right. Well, that's a good point. And I especially love the animal point because, like, if you did not watch The Bad Batch, Omega is another clone that we did not know about. That's basically like, I guess, Boba's sister, in a sense. And she does love animals. Like, that was like an emphasis that they put in the show when we watched. So that was really cool. Like, I did not make that connection until just now. So thank you for your call, Dalton. Let's go to the next one.
Let's do it.
Hi guys, my name is JC. I'm a big fan of the show. Thank you guys for what you do. So I just had a thought about your comments about Fennec. And also about the Bad Batch. So Fennec battled Cad Bane, destroyed his ship, and worked for Nala Se from Camino. So it stands to reason that there could be a connection with Boba from before. Also in canon, I believe, Boba is supposed to have killed Cad Bane. So, and that's how he got the dent in his helmet. So maybe he saves Fennec back then, and we're going to get a flashback of him fighting Cad Bane in live action. And that's how they established their relationship even before he goes back and saves her. And I was also thinking if we get something like that, that'll probably be in the Dave Filoni episode. But I'm also hoping for more cartoon characters to show up. Like, you know, it'd be really easy to do Rex. I mean, I guess he'd be a lot older. And then obviously Omega would be a cool add-in. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks.
JC, thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, so a lot of talk about the Bad Batch on this episode. So if you haven't watched the Bad Batch, it is worth watching. I think it's really good. It's better than I thought it would be going into it.
Yeah, that was the biggest, most pleasant surprise of last year for me, I think, was the Bad Batch.
It was really good. It's enjoyable. And so basically what he's saying is there's a chance that there is something that has happened with Fennec and Boba in the past that we don't know about. Like they have a stronger connection than what we assume that they have, and that Fennec and a bounty hunter named Cad Bane. Now, if you haven't listened to our History of Boba Fett 101 episode, we kind of explain who Cad Bane is. He was kind of a mentor figure for Boba at one point in his life, and we know that they had some sort of conflict that we haven't seen yet. So basically he's saying, what if Fennec and Cad Bane, who Cad Bane was in the Bad Batch and fought Fennec in the Bad Batch, they had some sort of conflict that maybe we'll see even in season 2, and Boba intervened when he was younger, and there's a stronger connection there. And if that's the case, then I would say, yeah, Fennec is not betraying Boba. Right. Because there's a stronger connection there. But all we know for now is that Boba found her in the desert, saved her, and then that's it. Yeah, I would kind of like that. But in terms of Cad Bane showing up, there have been a lot of rumors that he will show up in this show, and I would guess, yeah, he's probably going to show up when Dave Filoni directs his episode, and everyone's kind of been speculating that that's going to be episode 6. So we still have about 2.5 weeks before that happens. Now he could show up before that, but that's kind of, if he is going to show up, that's when I would expect him to show up.
Yeah. I hope he does too. I think that would just be so fun.
Yeah.
Do you at this point see any other animated characters making an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett?
I don't know. It's really tough to predict at this point because like this show just has not gone in a direction that I thought it would. So it's just
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think pretty much anything is on the table. Like, I think introducing Rex would get very confusing very quickly. Just with,
I would not do that. I would not suggest doing that.
I don't think it's probably the move. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think at this point we're gonna go further back than the first flashback at all, or do you think we're strictly going in chronological order from here out?
You mean in terms of like the Tuskens?
Yes. Do you think we're ever going to get flashback sequences from before the first one we got when he's popping out of the Sarlacc?
I think it's on the table, especially the Cad Bane situation. So again, we've talked about this on the lead up to the show, but basically there was a cut episode of the Clone Wars where Cad Bane and Boba Fett were working together on Tatooine to save a child from Tuskens, and at the end of it they had a duel and they shot each other. Cad Bane survived and Boba got the dent in his helmet, and that's where the dent came from. I could see that happening, or they just kind of rework that whole storyline into the present day. I don't know. It's kind of hard to guess.
Yeah. Just with the way the show is gone so far, I think all of the flashbacks are still going to be in chronological order.
I agree.
And the last one will basically catch us up to the beginning of this show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the beginning of the current present day storyline.
I agree.
So
it would be cool to get Fennec flashbacks, but the show's not called the Book of Fennec Shand. It's called the Book of Boba Fett. So I don't know. I really want to know more about Fennec.
I do too.
I want to know more about her. And hopefully these next few episodes we learn more about the relationship that Boba and Fennec have and why that's so strong, evidently.
Yeah.
So thanks for your call. Good insight there. Let's do the next one.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Love listening to you guys and love that you guys are fans that just kind of talk about your opinions but don't necessarily think that you're higher than others. I really love that in your guys' show. But my question and kind of my thoughts are just kind of looking at like the Pike Syndicate and everybody that's kind of coming up and the possibility of like a kind of a big war breaking out against Boba Fett. Do you think that there is a group of people that he has kind of in his back pocket that we don't necessarily know about? Just kind of thinking through it, I was thinking if all those people are coming in, it'd be real easy for them to storm up on him. So there's something that we're probably missing that he might have. Just my thoughts, but wanted to hear what you guys had to think. Have a great day.
Ooh.
Interesting.
This one gets my mind working in a very fun way that's like, okay, maybe in the finale this could happen. So,
Yeah.
okay. Crate's Claw
Okay.
was Boba, like young Boba's first venture into the criminal organization we saw in the Clone Wars when he was a young man. He teamed up with other bounty hunters to form this group called Crate's Claw.
Our minds are in very similar places, I think.
That would be really cool if he called upon the former members of Crate's Claw to come help him fight everyone in the finale. How cool would that be?
Yeah. No, I think that would be just amazing. That's how we can get some of those classic, familiar bounty hunter characters in this show. Like everybody's been talking about like Bosk and Dengar and
So Bosk is part of Crate's Claw.
Right.
Former member. Dengar was the droid Highsinger.
Yeah.
If he's still around, that would be really, really cool to see in live action. Imbo at one point was
Imbo. I love Imbo.
That one girl that we can never remember that throws like the leaves.
Yes.
I can't remember her name.
I'm gonna pull it right now. I will find it. You keep talking.
Yeah. So like that would be really, really cool if Crate's Claw came. Also, like we've talked about before, the Tuskens could come to the rescue as well. That would be a really cool scene to see, like all the tribes of Tuskens, not just the one. What if they came in and helped? That would be incredible.
Lats,
that's it.
Yeah, it's just such a hard name it just doesn't stick in my brain for whatever reason.
So Crate's Claw and the Tuskens, the Rancor. I think Boba's good with that. I don't know if he needs much more help than that.
Maybe Din.
Din? Ooh, yeah.
Maybe just kind of calling in another favor,
Din?
Like, hey, I kind of went out of my way for you last time. Maybe you can.
Okay. Han Solo?
Come help me out. No.
Han's coming to save
Boba Fett is not making a SOS call to Han.
No, he's not.
He is not on that list.
Now, we'll say in the old EU, they ended up being like frenemies towards the end. Like they were like, they still hated each other, but they did work together at some points.
Yeah.
But yeah, Din, the Tuskens, Crate's Claw members, that would be legit. Like,
Yeah.
Boba's not losing that war.
No, I think he's got it pretty much on lock at that point.
But part of me, because of all these flashbacks we've been seeing, you know, there was all those rumors about seeing Din in the Book of Boba Fett. Part of me is now wondering if it's actually in a flashback, not like a present day scene that we see Din. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It might be that like we watch over Boba Fett's shoulder as he's watching Din and Toro or whatever, you know?
Yeah, a Back to the Future situation.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think that's very much within the realm of possibility that that's the only involvement Din has with the show.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards flashback Din, not present day Din, because I feel like present day Din is way more interesting. Like, what is going on with him?
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't want to give that away.
No, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, let's call Din away from sieging Mandalore to, you know, or whatever.
Here comes the King of Mandalore to save you, Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Now, if that happened, I'm gonna lose it, and I'm gonna put that helmet on back there, and wear it all day long.
What if the way Din shows up is Boba ends up doing something that like is like too destructive or draws too much attention to himself, and as somebody who's like wearing Mandalorian armor, like he's still kind of subject to Mandalore, and Din shows up as Mandalore and being like, hey, you're giving us a bad name, you better shape up.
That would be a cool like post-credit scene, because like, you know how in season 2 of The Mandalorian there was a post-credit scene that set up this show. It'd be cool if there was a post-credit scene that set up season 3 of The Mandalorian. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sorry, I have like you probably figured it out by now. Bad brain fog. I've had COVID.
Yeah.
So like,
it's all good, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking is hard enough for me who does not have COVID, and so you're fine.
I've been struggling, but I hope I've made sense on this episode. But before we jump off here and do our Patreon bonus episode, I do want to read our Mandalore patrons, and give a big shout out and thank you to you guys. That would be Sean M, Brian S, Myron C, Dave, Tyler B, Amy C, Emily, Annie, Andrew Verdon, Jansen B, James Parker Price, Todd, Sam Smallwood, Adam S, Larry S, Matt from Michigan, Rick Villanueva, Jesse, James B, Sean D, Yosef R, Jord H, Haley Hobbs, Rob, Liam L, and Alex from Florida. Alex Army Unite.
Thank y'all so much. Y'all are the real MVPs holding us down. Yeah, thanks to all the patrons, but especially y'all.
Yep. Well, I enjoyed this. We're going to keep enjoying this over on the Patreon. And so if you want access to that, you can join the Patreon for $2 a month. Patreon.com/TheMandalorianWatch. And I love you guys.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. But until then, keep the watch.